Welcome back, everyone. Going into the second half here of Drop Frames, episode 186. Let's start this section off with some Sekiro. Now, Burke, you have not played this, right? I don't think you planned to play it. Oh, you did play it. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I saw you played a little bit as well. We'll start off with Burke. You have a Halo.
Yeah. It popped up with the lighting. I don't know why it's here now.
Gotcha. I could drop it. That's fine. We'll start. We'll let you start the discussion. How are you enjoying Sekiro?
I really fucking love this game. I'm like, so I'm not gonna lie, other than the initial trailers, other than kind of like a lot of the sort of hype that we had around it, I kind of just expected that I was going to be playing a Dark Souls that was, done in this type of a setting and environment. But what I think it does really well is it stands on its own with a form of combat that I think like where Dark Souls maybe emphasizes the dodge and roll mechanics a lot more. I love the fact, JP, that it took me a solid 3 hours to like untrain my brain from trying to play it like a Dark Souls game, right? Because to me, that tells me that it has a combat system that sort of stands on its own. It is unique where it doesn't like emphasize being aggressive, but it emphasizes like making better decisions on when to be aggressive or when to be defensive. So like ultimately the game seems fairly easy until you reach a boss, right? And then I think at that point it's like, okay, I need to figure it out, where it's like I found a lot of the challenge in just like revealing the stage of a Dark Souls game. So that was also different, right? I would say that the cadence and the frequency, etc. Man, I hope what happens here happens, but like I could not get a backstab off on this guy, so like walk up and like just do a normal hit on him. So anyway, like it's a smart game. I love the aesthetic. I really like the ninja prosthetics and whatnot. Oh, it's totally gonna happen. Oh no, I got it.
Yeah, you got on this one.
So yeah, I mean, like this to me is an exceptionally great game from Software that I think like doesn't try to rely on what made all of its other games great, but instead really builds off of that and delivers like not only graphically a game that looks phenomenal, but I really dig the combat. A lot of the chat that we were having during the game is that there seems to be like a rhythmic flow that you get into when you're playing this game. And when you are in that rhythmic flow, it's like what I would imagine, like ultimate meditation, where it's just like nothing can hit you. And you are just like, you feel like maybe I designed this game because I'm so fucking good at it. Right. And then like one hit can throw you off. And it's just like, suddenly you're like, what am I doing with this sword in my hand? I don't know how to use it. And that like polarization of the game, it was great. So level design's been super interesting. There is like, it rewards for exploration, which I love. I hate stealth. So the stealth I feel like is implemented. I always say that if I play the stealth in a game, then it's good.
Yeah.
So like, Tomb Raider reboot, this game, examples of stealth that I've actually enjoyed because I can mix it up and whatnot. So although I'm still like I've probably put 10, maybe 12 hours into this game. I'm impressed. I think it's a great addition to From Software's catalog, and I think it's just really unique overall in terms of like what they're offering. So
yeah.
That's my initial first thoughts.
I've spent a lot of time thinking about this game, so I'm going to let Burke go next and put his thoughts on it. Then I'll just spew forth all of my thoughts.
Cat does not want to hear my opinion on this game.
I do because I've only heard nothing but praise for this game, and so I'm curious what you think. Because if we're not going to like it, it's probably not going to be outright praise. So, Burke, what are your thoughts on Sekiro?
I do not think it's a bad game. I'm not saying that by any means. It took me a lot longer to break away from that it's not Dark Souls for me.
Yes.
It was that's what I had a hard time, and the more I played it, the more I felt like it was a Dark Souls game made for a specific play style, like all the agility players in Dark Souls. This was their game. And I was never the agility guy in Dark Souls. I was always the heavy tank, get the heavy armor.
Here's
and like
the
they're
secret,
like, you can't
though,
beat the
Burke, is
game
like
that.
no one was. The only people that were like the speedrunners, which is why I think it's fantastic that they were like, you know what? You know that thing that no one does in our game? We're going to make you have to do that thing in our next game.
So I understand like people who try hard to explain it to me. It's not like a Dark Souls. I got that, but it still felt like a Dark Souls no matter what.
Yeah.
To me, it just felt like a Dark Souls. And then I got to the point where I was like, okay, there's, I suddenly started to miss like not finding that special item around the corner, like, oh, I got a new helmet or something like that. And then it took me a while to break my sense of that.
Yeah.
Where I was like, man, I wish I was playing Dark Souls 3 right now. And just accept the game for what it is, which is a very fast-paced Dark Souls style, ninja game. And I just couldn't get into the speed of it. It's just not for me. It's like I'm getting more frustrated than I am enjoying myself, because you have to be so fast and quick on the sword play and the dodging and everything. And I didn't do that. I'm not fast like that anymore. Maybe back in the heyday of gaming for me, but now I'm just like, it's too fast. I can't keep up with it.
Yeah,
so
it's totally fair.
Yeah, I got frustrated more than anything else, and then I was like, you know what? Obviously, this game is not made for me. I'm just gonna get frustrated and pissed off. I'm just gonna move on to something like Tropico instead.
I've seen a ton of people
slow things down.
Yeah, I've seen a ton of people have that same thoughts on the game. Is that it? Because I think at the start of the game feels too fast. I actually think this game is more of a defensive game than an offensive game. And so it's actually kind of, it's slower in a sense. Maybe not some of the fights, but a lot of the like boss fights I feel are a battle against your own, at least my own sense of being aggressive. Because it's so much timing based in the sense of like, you just can't go in right now because the AI knows that you're going to go in. And it has moves to counteract exactly what you want to do. So you have to wait for them to fuck up.
And that's probably another why that I wasn't good at it. Because I've never been good at rhythm or timing in games. Press this button at the right time. You see he's about to lift his sword and bring it down. Hit your parry perfectly, and you will do a great attack on this guy. Now, I'm terrible at that stuff. Like, you can't rely on me for that.
Yeah, and I get that. I feel like this game... And I'm not gonna spoil. This is probably about as far, maybe like the first mini boss after this is about as far as I want to show. Because there's a lot of great moments that are very easily spoiled in terms of boss fights and things that happen in those fights that I don't want to spoil for people that potentially want to play this game. But all in all, I feel like in this game, the more that I played after getting like 10, 15, I'm 27 hours right now at the final boss. It's a fucking grind to fight him. Because you have to learn so much. But I feel like this entire game is them saying, stop playing this like Dark Souls and play this like you're a fucking ninja. Because there's a lot of moments where you could go and fight those 5 guys. Or you could go and backstab one of those guys and then run away. And then come back and get 2 of them, and then run away and let them reset. And then go back and actually get like a backstab on the mini boss, and then fight him one-on-one. And the amount of times that happened in so many, like, you would look at an encounter of a room or look at like an area, a stage, if you will. And the more that I would do it, I would get into a process of always doing it the same way to get to the boss because it was the fastest, safest way to do so. And I approached like every room as if it was a puzzle most of the time to finding whatever that route was. Whereas I was like watching someone play Dark Souls earlier this morning. They were playing Dark Souls 3. And I was just like, you can just run at people in this game. And then you can just put your shield up and then you can circle around them and backstab them and then move on to the next guy. Like it's so much safer in that sense. It's still difficult if you don't know what you're doing. But this game makes me think that Dark Souls games are a joke. Like, this game is unbelievably difficult at multiple points in the game. So much so that, like, aside from, Boshi or anything like that, I think it might be the hardest game I've ever played at some of these boss fights. Yeah. There's so many fucking things that happen. It's like, there's a boss fight where something happens, you think it's over. Something else happens, you think it's over. And then he's dead. And you're just like, and you fight him for the first time and he hits you for like 75%. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, this is impossible. There's no fucking way that I'm going to be able to beat this guy. And then you beat him and you're like, I don't know how I did that, but I somehow beat that boss. And let's move on. Like, the amount of times that's happened to me where I could not tell you what I did to beat the boss, except just played well, is basically almost every boss. The most time I've spent on, I think, one particular boss was 2 to 3 hours, just like learning the different things. I'm assuming I'm going to spend about 3 to 4, maybe even more on the final boss, because it is the hardest boss in the game, without a doubt. It takes everything that you've learned in the game and throws it at you all at once. And it's astronomically difficult. Like, I've just watched so many different people play it now that I've kind of seen all the things in it, and just thought, like, I'm not going to be able to do that. I physically can't.
The ultimate good game.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And there's no ways to, like, that. You can grind levels in this game, but since to kind of take it back and talk about the mechanics of the game, there is a way to level up your HP and posture, which is like your defense. There's a way to level up your attack power, but there's no way to, like, spin souls to put into your vitality, or there's no way to put into your strength or your dex. Like, there's less of a sense of building a character like a Dark Souls. And I think that that's good for certain people and bad for other players. For players that want Dark Souls experience, they hate it. They want that customization. And I totally understand that. But for me, that coupled with the fact, like, you don't get to create a fucking monstrosity at the beginning of the game that looks like super fucking fat. Like, I was super interested in what was happening in the story of the game because the character looked badass, and I always looked badass. I didn't look like some 300-pound guy wearing a giant fucking sword on his back doing like 300 rolls all the time, which was fun. But I was this badass looking ninja guy, which I was super into the entire time. And I can see both sides of, like, people that enjoy that and people that hate that. But the other thing is, in not allowing people to spec into certain ways, is I felt that they could streamline the difficulty in the entire experience, like, to always be even kill throughout the game. You never, ever felt like you're overpowered in this game. Kind of like what Wheat was saying.
Right.
You'll do well against one thing, and then 5 seconds later, you're fucking dead. Yeah. Because you thought you were a badass ultimately. And I don't think you can create that type of experience if you're letting the players, like, choose your stats every single level, because it's so much harder to design around that. Because you're going to be so good at one thing, but then you'll find another boss and be, like, bad at that. Whereas this one's just, you have to always be good or you're going to have a bad time.
I just realized that the amount of time that I'm going to have to dedicate to this game in order to finish it, coupled with my level of skill for this, is just going to be, like, astronomical. I don't think it's worth my time or my chat's. I'm sure chat would have a blast just watching me get more and more irate and frustrated. But, I don't want to die young, so I pass this game for now. When I need to hurry up, when I'm like 80 and in retirement home, maybe I'll come back and visit this game. So, like, I'm just done with life. Let's just go ahead and just let this rage me to death. So
it's very easy. Like, yesterday during my stream, the final 2 to 3 hours of the stream, I turned off my camera and I turned off my mic and I just played the game. I did not talk. I did not, because I was so tilted. It was the difficulty of the game, coupled with the fact that all the speedrunners are speedrunning the game, and for the most part, all the big streamers have beaten the game. So chat has seen all the things, and so the urge to backseat is strong because they've seen other people have success. And so since I didn't beat it fast enough, that was very strong yesterday. So I just, like, turned it all off and just played the game. which is a total streamer thing that has nothing to do with the actual playing of the game. That is just like a streamer issue. But yeah, it is right now sitting like very high on like games that I've enjoyed this year. It is a phenomenal game. There's so many different things about it that like boss fights that I want to jump into, but I don't want to spoil it for anyone. So it's a hell of a
I
thing.
had fun with it, man. Like, good for some. Like they tried something different, and I'm glad it's a success for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, actually, that's a great point because it's like they can make a hard Dark Souls game, but like this is something cool because it is different, and I'm really surprised by what they've put out, and also I'm not surprised that there's been a polarizing sort of opinion both ways on like, oh, it's great, I love everything, oh, it's not the Dark Souls game I wanted. Right, like I think that's all. That means it's a good game in that regards. JP, I had one question because you'd mentioned about the bosses and already like the most enjoyable moments of this game have obviously been the bosses, which is kind of funny because Dark Souls for me, I remember dreading every fucking time. Like, oh God, it's a misty doorway. Like, what's going to be beyond here? But there's there's actually a level of excitement when I'm like, oh, I can see the boss from a distance, and he's there, and like I'm excited to go and kind of tackle this. So, just like to put in retrospect, one of the last bosses I fought, which is pretty cool, was a guy on horseback, right?
Mm-hmm. Still super early in the game.
Yeah, I'm super early still in the game. So like variety of bosses overall, I got that even early was going to be pretty great throughout the game. Would I be disappointed by the end, or would you say that they like there is a lot of diversity as far as the bosses are concerned?
There is a huge amount of diversity, and they even have like some, I don't want to say easy bosses, but they have like some softball bosses where it's more mechanic focused in what's going on and less like how good you are. It's like, hey, you need to do this thing, which is usually not necessarily like go hit the boss.
Okay.
But yeah, they have like your humanoid fights. They have your like giant fights. They have your in between fights. They have your like, what the fuck am I doing in this fights. Like they have a pretty good amount of different boss battles. I will say,
I'm not playing. I've watched a lot of streams. There's definitely some crazy boss fights that are just like, how are you supposed to do that?
yeah, there's a lot. The point at where you're at right now, right after you fight that boss, the game, I kind of feel like opens up in where you can go, and it starts to do the From Software thing, which I think kind of started a little bit later in this game compared to other titles that they've done, where you can go so many different routes. And the amount of people in my chat that have been like, man, I can't, like Strippin went and did XYZ. You did ZYX, and this other person did the other fucking way. Like there's so many, and the other thing is I was cleaning up like mini bosses and stuff yesterday. And in doing so, there was stuff that I just skipped because I didn't want to deal with it at that point in time, and came back towards the end of the game. And after defeating that mini boss, I realized further on in that room was actually another path that is earlier in the game that you can come into that boss at and get to the later part of the game.
Oh my gosh.
And so there's a bunch of like weird shortcuts that you don't really know exist unless you know they exist, unless you go and find them. And so like the speedrunning aspect of the game, I think is going to be fucking crazy because of just the amount of things that are connected in ways that, Dark Souls games have the very same thing. And it's a sudden realization that it's happening in there just like it is in here.
Right.
So it's really cool when that happens.
I mean, I think like as early as when it starts to open up and you start to get an indication that it's going to be that way is when you get that first bell and it introduces the memory. And like, I kind of like that. Like it feels good to be, and I feel like this happened a little bit in Dark Souls 3, but like where you're like, shit, I've been like banging my head up against this boss or this area for a while. I'm gonna go do this other thing that I know is available to me, right? And so like as you mentioned, I'm sure like suddenly as in you're adding more layers of options that you can do, like that's pretty great because not only does that mean, as you mentioned, you get a sort of unique experience, and even if you're watching it, you're gonna probably get a unique experience. But I think like the stories that I've heard now about like, oh, you actually could have gotten this thing, and then that fight would have been easier. And frankly, I'm like, dude, that's cool. Like the fact that you don't need that thing as a crutch to, you know, to like beat that boss. I think like, and I will spoilers, but someone told me after that horse fight, like, oh, you can get these firecrackers, and then like it can make that fight easier. But there was then a sudden sense of like, well, fuck yeah, man, I beat it without the firework, right? And the fact that the game even gives you those options, right? It's not like, well, you need that special weapon in order to do this. It's like, no, you can persevere and you can do it. That to me just like says it's a great game.
Yeah. I do want to speak about like some of the negatives, I think, in the game, because there are some. It's not a perfect game. I don't think any game is. The PC port with my configuration, I don't know if it's... I've heard so many different reports that it's just the game in general, but it happens a lot in mine. And I think it has to do with the most recent patch. There would be times where it would freeze. And I'm not talking like the game freezes. I'm saying like it's a hard lock of everything in the game for a second, and then it unlocks. And then like 4 or 5 frames happen, and then it freezes hard again for a second, and then it goes on. And it would do it in sets of 4. And I don't know what's causing it. I've heard so many different people say like it's NVIDIA drivers, but then other people saying it's not. I've heard people say it's the patch that they just put in. Other people saying they don't experience it at all. It's in a game that is so important by visual cues and just what's happening in the second to second. It's unbelievably frustrating when you're fighting a boss and he's getting ready to do like a horizontal attack that you have to dodge, and he pulls it back and it freezes, and then it goes forward and it freezes, and you're like, did I press the jump button? My character doesn't look like he's animated. And then it goes through and you didn't press the jump button and get hit for it. And like one attack will set you back or just straight up kill you in this game. And so that was happening like so many times on the PC version.
I had one instance, and I thought it was maybe just the area I was in. I wouldn't say it was quite as severe as that, but it would like freeze and or just significantly frame drop. But again, it seemed like it was the area that I was in. I don't know. That's so weird because I also saw like Jesse Cox was just like...
He had a terrible time. He said, fuck it.
Oh, my God. It sounded terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the PC version. Someone in chat was saying that it's...
the only one. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone in chat was saying that it's controller issues with the vibration. So I might try turning that off later today to see if that would cause it. Yeah.
Like that...
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. That seems very strange to me, but hey, I'm willing to try everything right now because I
did play keyboard and mouse.
How was that experience? I've heard it's actually good.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
I've heard it's the best it's been for a Dark Souls game.
Yeah, I didn't have any issues with the keyboard and mouse at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard it's actually, you can play decently well with that. So, and then the other thing, which I think are kind of, it goes hand in hand. This is the only game to ever, and I mean ever, give me motion sickness.
Really?
Really?
And I think it has to do, there's some stuff that happens later in the game where you're using the grappling hook a lot. And I don't know if it's the speed of the grappling hook with where your character or where the camera is so close to the character and like how it focuses with my eyes or something. But if I'm doing that, I immediately get motion sickness. And I was like, maybe it's not the game. Maybe it's just something else. But like now for 5 or 6 days, perfectly fine. The second I start like flying around with the grappling hook, immediate motion sickness. I think it speaks to the game, the fact that I've just kept playing for 27 hours while being unbelievably lightheaded the entire time. But it's definitely a thing. It's getting kind of crazy. I've never had that happen before, ever. And then the other thing is, I think cameras has always been the hardest thing for From Software to nail. There's a couple fights in this game where the camera is just fucking awful. Like it is.
But it de-locks the boss. You're fighting.
That's annoying. There's any indoor fight where you can kind of see, because it's been reported that originally this game started out as a Tenchu game and they made it into like a Souls Tenchu game. And anytime you're inside, you can kind of see, at least I can, I feel that the game was not designed to be a Dark Souls game in close quarters. Because the camera is like right up against the fucking character, and if you're jumping nonstop, like it's constantly going in and out. It's not a perfect
JP,
camera.
Within the first 20 minutes of playing this game, I know I can go back and find the clip, but I'm just basically like, I would give anything if the camera was like a foot back from my character.
Same. Yeah.
Now, that was prior to doing any indoor fighting. And after doing exactly what you're talking about, I was like, well, now I know why they didn't want to pull the camera back, because it would have made some of those encounters like 1,000 times more shitty. And they also do some like weird, like their method of when the camera gets between your character and something
Else,
in the environment.
It goes invisible. Yeah.
It goes like invisible, but it's like a weird kind of invisible. It's like not as translucent as you think that it should be, and it's just rather jarring. So I feel you, and I totally agree. Like I wanted it further back, but then like indoors, that just would never have worked, and it was a little strange. So that was one of my questions to you, is like, were there any like just camera rage inducing moments? Because I felt like it had the potential for them to be there.
There is a boss that will have an animation that leads into them getting ready to jump into the air, and to dodge said attack, you have to back up, I don't know, 10 steps or 5 steps or something like that, and then jump. And when this whole sequence starts, the boss is right in front of you, and the way that you fight the boss is very close to him, so you have to back up 5 steps. And when he jumps in the air, the camera follows him, and it basically slams the camera on the ground and forward, so that you're basically looking up at your character's ass and the sky while backing up, and then you jump, and it kind of like fixes in a sense. And it is really jarring every time it fucking happens. And it's something that happens a lot within the fight itself. And so like that was giving me some real bad issues. It's a larger boss. And so when you get in corners and stuff like that, it really sucks because the camera just goes fucking super wonky. And they can travel a huge amount of distance. So that fight in particular gave me a lot of issues. I felt like I was fighting the camera more so than the boss. In the beginning, eventually I learned like how to manipulate the fight so that you didn't have to deal with that so much. But yeah, camera's still not the best, but I feel like the game outshines that enough that it shouldn't be something that puts you off for it.
Another thing that bothered me, that maybe this is just a me thing. Maybe it's possible. I don't know. But I didn't like that when you're fighting like bosses or other things in the game, like when they did these wide sweeping attacks and you had other enemies there, that it didn't hit them. It just went through them.
Sure. I get that.
And I always thought that was kind of like, that's just very immersion breaking for me. Because like, you know, not to bring back the Dark Souls, but Dark Souls didn't do that. You know,
yeah,
like when a boss swung its sword, it hit everything in its path. And I like that. You know, it's like, oh man, use the boss to help me get these guys cleared out, you know?
Yeah. No, why did they do that? I found that to be like in this part that you're in, there was all those fire archers, and I'm like, man, there are so many opportunities for like these enemies to get hit by those, and for it to just go right through. I was like, that is kind of bullshit, because that was a cool aspect of like the Souls games, and that like, nah, man, there's no friendly fire in this shit. Like you get in the way of something, it's gonna take you out, regardless of whether you're a player or NPC.
Yeah,
I told my chat before, it was like if it almost felt like playing this for me, and I know I'm supposed to break my mind from Dark Souls when you play this, but it's like
it's hard not to.
Their first game, and then you'd get Dark Souls after that, and you'd be like, wow, look at all the improvements they made. Now there's PvP and all this loot and all these design choices. It almost feels like this is like a first attempt at a Dark Souls game, and then you get Dark Souls, and all that stuff. But I don't know.
I can see what you're saying. They definitely dialed it back in terms of like, there's no online stuff. You can't summon people to fight.
Stuff, and I love
there's
that.
There's no PvP. There's no like summoning or having people invade you. Rather, it's a single player game. And for some people, there's a lot of people out there, more than you would think. I think that if you're on Twitch, it's hard to imagine this. Some people played Dark Souls by always summoning other people, and that's how they beat the game.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's in the game. It's a way you can play. You cannot do that in this game, and you are 100% reliant on yourself and your actions as the character, and it's a motherfucker sometimes. Yeah, like you have to play well in this game. There is. I'm trying to think of like if I cheesed bosses or anything like that, and that's camera's kind of fucking right there.
Yeah.
I did cheese a boss though in this. I did cheese.
Which one did you early on? I would assume.
Yeah. The troll.
Okay, what'd you do? What was the cheese mechanic for said troll?
I guess if I had to say, like, you can break the combat with him and then sneak back and stab him, take one of those bars away, and then just use the tree to jump up and down on top of him constantly till you win.
Oh, I didn't know about the jumping up and down, the sneaking away and getting a sneak attack. I think that's vital to fighting mini bosses. Yeah. If you can do that against a mini boss, you have to do that because it is a pain in the ass otherwise. But I didn't know you could just constantly jump on them to cheese them.
Grapple up to that tree branch and just drop back down on him, and drop back up and drop back down on him, and then he'll die.
They were
like, you could have got fire. And I was like, I didn't need fire. I just got tree.
Some people would be upset about that. More power to you, man. More power to you.
I needed it at that point. That was like an hour in it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with Dark Souls too. Like I wouldn't summon people unless I'm like on hour 2 of the boss and I'm like, I'm done with this shit,
I did have someone in chat get really angry that in the early bosses, like I wouldn't just do that. I wouldn't just backstab them to take the bubble. Because like I was very early on identifying like, okay, I'm fucking being bad because I'm still trying to play this like Dark Souls. So I was literally using the boss battles to like learn right what I needed to learn. And a couple people just did not. They were just like, God, can you just take away the bubble for free already? I'm like, nah, man. Like, no.
Yeah. You have to, man. Dude, oh my God. Some of the
I think it was after the spear guy. I was like, all right, like if I can do it, I'm going to do it,
I feel like the spear guy is the first part in the game where you're just like, holy fuck, this guy just hit me from like across the map and took all my life. Like, is this there's so many times where I'm like, am I under leveled? Like, should I be here? Yeah. And most of the time it's like, yeah, you should have been here like a couple hours ago.
He's the one that made me quit. I guess
he's the one that gets a lot of people.
I'm done with this shit. I'm done.
Really?
I want to live a full life here, Chad. I don't need this stress in my life right now.
Yeah, I get it. The other thing too that I think we spent a while on this, but one of my favorite things about this game is that I feel like From Software has finally realized how to tell story through obtuse means.
Yes.
Because this like eavesdropping thing that you can do before you fight a boss or before you fight mobs, you can like walk up and listen in, and the things that those people say are not only story and lore related, but they're also related to an encounter that is coming up in a way to actually manipulate that fight for the betterment of your enjoyment of the game and make it easier. And they've nailed it in this game. There's so many times where I've been like, how the fuck, what is this? Whatever, I'll just go later on. And then I'll find someone and talk to them and they're like speaking in fucking riddles about something. And I'm like, oh, I know what that's about. Let's go back and try that. And you go back and try and it works.
So, I have one quick question about this because I've actually noticed some of the streamers I've watched taking notes. And it's really interesting because the game doesn't have a fucking journal. Like if you miss a piece of dialogue, there's sometimes like it won't even repeat dialogue. You're like, oh, let me go talk to them again and see what they said. And they'll just like say the last 3 parts. So
Yeah.
it was interesting because like before in Dark Souls, I'd just be like, yeah, whatever. I just keep like you're literally just talking like Kingdom Hearts speak right now, you know, like
Yeah.
but there was a noticeable change in that. But even like the dialogue JP is a bit Dark Soulish in that they are
100%
not
it is. Yeah.
like giving you the like, but here's a pro tip window. Like, hey man, like fire might be really good against this guy. It's like
Yeah.
super subtle lines of dialogue.
It's like
and
two
shit.
soldiers
It's
that are
great.
like, man, this beast up here is a motherfucker, but
Yeah.
I've heard he doesn't like fire. And you go, oh, I've never even gotten close enough to use that. That's an insane story. You want to go get some sake or something? Okay, yeah.
It's like
And
that.
then you're like, oh, I got to use fire against that guy. Okay, that makes sense.
Like that Mortal Kombat movie where she's like, in your next fight, use the element that brings life.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly that. It's good stuff. I'm just thinking back to, like, I'm watching you play this and I was watching me play earlier parts in the game. And I remember being at these points thinking like, this is fucking insane. This guy has so much health and he's got 2 life bars. And then I'm just like, this is so easy compared to shit later in the game. And I know I sound like that guy, but it is truly a fucking joke compared to what's later in the game.
And actually, like when you beat a boss too, like you get a sense of like, oh my god, like I'm a little embarrassed, right? Because like usually the win, like if you just were to tune in and just see the battle in which I won, right? It'd be like, fuck man, this guy not so bad, right?
Yeah.
But it like just that element of the game is pretty awesome. I love that.
Yeah. This is one of those games. I think right now it's in this weird moment on Twitch where everyone's playing it or the hype's starting to die down in terms of viewership. But I think like watching it, I cannot wait to see like a speed run of this game because, or even like a no hit run of this game because it's going to be so fucking difficult to do. It's going to just be like watching someone no hit this or watching someone speed run this in an hour is just going to be insane.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. You're going to be like just in awe of it. It's going to be the equivalent of like watching those people play F-Zero or something at GDQ where they're just like stupid godlike because that's what's going to be happening here. It's going to be so crazy.
I think that person in chat said it right. Like these boss fights, you dismantle them. You don't just outright power through them.
Yeah.
You have to dismantle the fight. You know, dismantle the boss basically.
Yeah.
Tear them apart piece by piece instead of brute forcing it.
Yeah.
I'm not used to that. I'm used to the Dark Souls brute force. Like I got the freaking rock armor and the rock shield. I don't ever dodge. I just block all that shit. No problem.
Right.
Come on.
Right. And then that kind of goes back to what I was saying in terms of they made this game so that there is only one way to play the game. And you can't do what you're saying in terms of like getting the HP and stuff. And some people hate that. And I think that's like the deciding factor for this game. If that's something that you enjoyed about the Dark Souls experience, you probably will not like this game. The other thing is, we talked about this at the very beginning. If you do not like the parry mechanic from Dark Souls and you never wanted to learn because you hated it, don't play this game.
Get ready.
Because that is all this game is. It's a little bit more forgiving than the Dark Souls in terms of the window.
Definitely.
But like there's a fight in this game where you have, and I'm not kidding, you do not have a second to stop parrying. You have to parry every attack to kill the boss. And it is a rhythm game at that point because you're learning the attack periods for him to actually attack you.
And I refused to do that at the beginning. I was like, I don't want to parry. I want to just power through. I'm going to dodge and attack. And I got my ass kicked every time I did that.
Yeah.
Until I started, like the horse boss is one of the first bosses. I was like, I'm just going to try to parry a lot. And that's when you start to realize, okay, the game's built around parrying. Because you can take that 1 health bar away really fast through parrying a limb a lot. So, yeah.
That's good.
If you were an agility guy in Dark Souls, guess what? They just made a game for you.
Yeah.
You're ready to rock with this game.
Check it out for sure. So
like magic, you're still waiting.
It's a good game. I've thought a lot about this game. When I'm not playing it, I think about playing it more. Then I go play it and get stupid fucking frustrated. And then I'm like, okay, I guess I'll try this more tomorrow. I'm gonna try to finish it up today. But that final fight is
Good luck, JP.
It's a motherfucker.
Good luck.
Does anyone know if Anthony, by the way, Anthony Conkman beat the game today, or is he still going? Because he was on.
He was going before we started. Yeah.
He was on like hour 7 or 8. He finished. Okay. Good for him, because he was going for a while on that.
Yeah, I saw his stream was up for 10 hours. So
Yeah, he's going for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Dan finished it yesterday. I've watched a lot of people go through the final fight. Like, I know what I have to do. It's just mechanically, it's a fucking pain in the ass. So, yeah. Before we move on from the Souls thing, I do want to mention we've talked. It's been out there, but if you didn't see it, the Happy Hob completed on last Thursday. Completed a no-hit run of the Souls series, the Soulsborne series. Yeah, the God Run. Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, and Demon Souls without getting hit a single fucking time.
How did that work? Somebody in chat told me if he got hit in Dark Souls 3, he had to go back and start over with Dark Souls 1.
Every game over if he gets hit once.
Yep.
What the shit?
It is.
No, I can't do it.
It's the most heartbreaking thing to watch too, because it's just I do have 3 games. You could still go for maybe some time. Nope. Boom.
It's a God Run.
Crazy.
Yeah, watching that thing is, man, he is a hell of a person for doing that. It's a hell of a thing. You could also see how tense he was if you go back and watch the final moment, as it were, when he kills the final boss in Dark Souls 3. There is a moment of all of that tension and stress immediately leaves him and leaves his body, and he just breaks down, and his dog comes running off the screen to give him a hug, and he's freaking the fuck out, because I can't even imagine.
I gotta see that. I want to see that clip.
Yeah,
it's great.
really good. I
Is
think
it
it's
a Guinness World Record thing that they're gonna put in there? I mean, he's getting
I hope
something for
so.
this, right? $1 million or something like that. He's getting something
I hope
for
so. Yeah,
I hope so too.
it's got to be crazy. I was not watching it live, but I think it's on I think Twitch actually tweeted out the final moment. So if you go to the Twitch Twitter account, you can find it. So hell of a thing. I told you I'd give you some Path of Exile time, so maybe we'll do some Path of Exile. Are you still playing the current league, by the way?
I didn't think I was gonna play. I was man, I got TwitchCon, a U coming up. There's some games coming out. I'm still playing a lot of Apex. And I actually had one of these characters where I got to this point about 65 where I'm man, either I just start a new character now or I just quit the league. So This is Jesus. I can't believe you actually found the last time. I don't stream a whole lot of Path because, well, I'm boring when I play it. So I decided, nope, fuck no. I'm just going to stick with this character. It's a Frostbolt Ice Nova variation off of Mathil's sort of build from last season. And I prefer to play the self-casting stuff because I'm staying a lot more active when I'm mapping and whatnot. And I finally broke through. I'm glad I stuck with this character. I've got insane damage off the charts, and I'm just going for Uber Elder again. But
have you already killed him, by the way?
I've never killed him.
Oh, okay.
Never. I've either just not had a build that could do it, or last season was the closest that I got, just because I've, again, when you're still figuring out the mechanics and you're still in diapers, the amount of time it takes to go through your atlas is mind boggling, where it's now I'm well, shit, this is really easy to get to the center when maps drop. Right. And so I don't know. It's the first season where I'm I feel a lot more competent than I have in previous seasons. And I do not like the synthesis mechanic, but I'm guessing with the patch changes that are coming out this week, it will hopefully be better.
We'll see.
I mean, we will see, but I still have not seen hardly a single synthesis item that I'm oh God, that would be great to get or craft or whatever.
They're definitely out there, but they're pretty rare. Yeah.
Pretty rare, right? Yeah. So, I'm each season I'm trying to pick something else up. And so I've spent a good deal of this season actually focusing on crafting. And despite having some level 10 boots all the way to 70, like that definitely helped with like the leveling process and just kind of fucking around with that.
Yeah.
So I still like this game. There's just something amazing and special about it, and I can't even tell you like what drives me and motivates me to continue to play it, but it's my bae. I love it so much. I don't know what it is.
It's a pretty
I
good
don't know.
game.
Personally, never played one of these. I've heard like tons about it. I've been insanely curious about trying it, but
Be very careful here.
yeah,
You're talking to two
I know,
full-blown
I know.
addicts. So
Yeah,
Fight Man
exactly.
recently got me excited for Grim Dawn.
okay.
You ever played that one?
Uh,
They just came out with a new expansion, I think,
Let
yesterday or today.
Grim Dawn is a good game, but I feel like comparing Grim Dawn to this is comparing like basic arithmetic to calculus.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing for me or not.
It's dude, let me tell you why it's a good game, man. Because like tell me the last game that you've played for years, like a couple, let's say 2 years, where you can legitimately say like, oh shit, I learned something new that I didn't know after 1,500 hours and 2 or 3 years of playing, or right, like that is really fucking amazing to have a game that's like that. Now some might be like, well, that's ridiculous, like that means it's a bad game, and it's like, no man, that means there's so much fucking depth to the game that you could enjoy the game without ever exploring any of that shit. But if you did want to explore it, it's all there, and there's just so much to unravel. It is fucking mind-blowing.
It's a lot of game.
It's a lot of game.
Also, as a streamer, Burke, I would not recommend playing it now. I would wait till the start of the next league. They put out a new league every 3 months, and that's like the best time to play, not only because of viewership, but also because everyone else is playing, and they'll help you learn the game if you're interested at all in it. If you jump in now, it's going to be a bunch of like snarky elitist assholes that are trying to teach you the game, and it's not a fun way to learn, because they're just going to like, they're going to tune in and be like, why the fuck does this guy have this amount of viewership when he doesn't even know anything about anything? So I'd be very, and next league's going to be good because the patch is like more melee focused, but I put 57 hours into this league in the first week, and I hated the league. So, I hated the mechanics they put into it. So that kind of speaks to the game.
JP, you know what's weird is that I skipped Delve, and I fucking love Delve. So it's like it was this rare instance where like skipping the league probably extended how long I will like the league, because I've just been like, well, fuck all that shit, I'll just go Delve. But this mechanic has been like by far the most frustrating. Like I would rather have syndicate members popping up randomly every 5 seconds than have to deal with fucking random things spawning in the middle of a path that I've been working on for like a week. You know, it's just
really
like
annoying,
ridiculous. So anyway,
some of the items, some of the fractured items and synthesized items are actually just like straight up fucking bonkers. Someone had a 1078 energy shield chest.
I saw that one. Yeah.
It's just like, what the fuck?
That is, but again, like, isn't it weird that like, you know, even in what was it, Veiled, like I would get some like really good base Veil items and then be like, oh, the rest of it is kind of like shit.
Yeah.
And it's just like I rarely am seeing like, I've seen a really unbelievable fractured gem, and I've seen that chest. But the whole synthesis thing,
the memory shit sucks. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's real bad.
One hell of a skill tree there.
Oh man, that skill tree is. Whew.
The funny part is like that's the pretty simple part of the game. To be honest,
love it.
That skill tree is like one of the most simplistic parts of the game, because it's face value. Like what you see is what you get. When you hover over a skill, you know exactly what it's going to do. What you don't know is that when you're trying to craft an item and it has a suffix open, but you can block something. You can block like fucking life on it, so you need to craft some fucking bullshit thing on it so that you can always try to get a better chance at the life. Like it gets real fucking crazy, man. And PoE talk is we talked about it, it's actually the last time we talked about Path of Exile with Ko and Zeke. We always make fun of Zeke because he doesn't understand a single fucking thing that we're saying. But he's like, no, dude, I enjoy hearing people nerd out about something that they're passionate about. So that was our nerding out of something that we're passionate about. It's crazy. JP, explain leeching? No, I can't. That's actually impossible.
One other thing. So like this is maybe the first time that I've had a build that how do I explain this? I was trying to explain it to TGM last night. Like the Frostbolt Ice Nova is basically Frostbolts and then Ice Nova on top of the Frostbolts, and then things freeze and everything blows up. I feel like I have gotten this close to epilepsy based seizures multiple times while delving, where like I have to actually like close my eyes and look away for a second just because it's just like fucking strobing shit and just like, god damn it, is it the most satisfying thing in the world? I love it.
I played a Cock Cyclone with Frostbolt and Vortex build 2 leagues ago with a Headhunter as well. That was the closest I've ever come to an epileptic seizure. It was bad.
It's just like but like the shit blowing up and stuff dropping, like, oh man.
Yeah. Anyways, Burke, let's talk about some Generation Zero, and I want you to convince me that this is not Left 4 Dead 3 in Sweden. What is it? Explain this game to me. How is this game?
Left 4 Dead 3.
It's not? Okay, good to hear. Because I look at it, I'm like, wait a minute. Things are highlighted.
At least Left 4 Dead, you have a clear focus on where you're supposed to be going. So I feel like the groundwork is here, and the devs were actually in my chat last night, so they kind of understand like where some of our criticisms about it. It's 4-player. For basically what it is, chat. It's 4-player co-op game. They have a beautifully done huge map. They just drop you in and off you go. And there's no people, so it kind of follows that Fallout 76. Like there's no people anywhere. You only find like notes and recordings and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And robots are the primary villains. And I think there's 6 different types of robots in the game right now. And they range from like cute little doggy ones to monstrous, scary ones, right? And it's definitely a lot of looting, going around into these houses and finding ammo and getting guns. And the guns do upgrade from like, basic to like green, like uncommon. And then there's legendary stuff. And I'm trying to troll my friends here. See if I can blow that up.
But, you're trying to see if it blows up. Makes sense.
There's a lot of trolling you can do. We were screwing with each other with propane tanks. Like when somebody would go inside a house, I put the propane, they would do it to me most of the time, but they put a propane tank outside and then, hey, we need help, Bert. Come outside. And I'm like, what? What's going on? They shoot the propane. Boom, there I'm down. So a lot of humorous stuff in that. But from all I could tell, it gives you a ton of missions, but the vast majority of those missions are go here and investigate. Go over there and investigate. Go over here, investigate. Go over here and answer the phone and investigate. Go here and blow up this one thing. And a lot of that. Just go here and look. Wow. There's not a lot of variety beyond that. Once we got through like the main story missions, which were not too many, it was just exploration at that point. And then once you see those first 6 robots, there's not much to it after that. We got bored pretty fast, I'd say. Like after like 5 hours of streaming it and playing it, we were just kind of like, not a lot of variety. And you got tired of looting real fast because it was a lot of looting. Every house had loot, and it's mostly just ammo, guns, hats, ammo, guns, hats, shirts. A lot of that. And it didn't maintain your interest for long after that. I don't know if there's we just got tired of the same mission over and over. Go here, look here, go here, look that, go there, look that. There was never a reward at the end of that where it was different. Like, oh shit, you better defend this bunker. It's about to come under attack by 30 robots. Your ass is grass, pal. Never got none of that. You know, there might have been like we went into a new area. There'd be like 6 robots. We clear them out. That's it. Done.
Huh.
Those robots are dead. Now just go find the thing that they're wanting you to find, like some documents on the table, and that's it. And, we told them that because we think that the foundation for this is gorgeous. The game is pretty. The map is cool. The formula is there, but there's just not a lot of variety in what you're out there to do. Which was like a big other criticism of Fallout 76, right? You know, didn't just go here and do that. So
was
where we're at with it.
Is it early? Did it launch early access or was it launched full game yesterday?
I think it's launched full game. I think it was early access.
Oh,
we had
okay.
the beta.
Okay.
And now it's like release.
Gotcha. Did the devs say that they're obviously adding more to it now that it's out and about?
They did. They definitely said they're going to. And like they didn't like chat was shitting on it more harder than we were because we like the premise of it. The premise is cool.
Right.
But they understand. I think they got that we weren't like shitting on their game just for the sake of shitting on it. We were like trying to give them constructive criticism as players and how we were getting bored with the experience only 5 hours in because the mission experience just wasn't as engaging, as interesting as we thought it could be.
Okay.
You know? Right. So I think they said that they saw that and they got to take that criticism and try to mix it up. I mean, there could have been so many cool moments, you know, with like, you know, like I said, defending a bunker or, you know, like maybe taking parts from the robots to build your own robot, you know, to help defend you or setting up a base camp somewhere or just an overall objective other than go here and look at this, look for this item here.
That's okay. That sucks to hear. So see, how much was it? Is it 40 full price, 60 or $40?
I think it's $44.99.
Oof, that's steep.
Chat?
That's steep. I can look it up on Steam.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's a steep buy-in.
It has a lot of customization though. You can find a lot of shirts and hats.
It's $34.99. A lot of shirts and hats. Okay. You know what it reminds me of the fuck, now I'm gonna blank out. What was the Halloween game that came out that had like Jason in it? It was the camp game where you played
Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th.
Yeah, Friday the 13th. It was just called Friday the 13th. It reminds me of Friday the 13th engine. Yeah. It reminds me of that engine in terms of look, but with the Left 4 Dead highlighting of items to loot. But it seems like there's no other content in it. So maybe it just reminds me of Friday the 13th because that's the exact exactly what that game was. Just had no content.
Well, you get like Left 4 Dead, you had like a clear path. You know, you're escaping. And this, they just drop you on a really well done open world. It's a big world.
Yeah.
Big.
Huh.
But it's just a lot of go here, go there. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it had some variety to it, but not enough. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Nothing that really freaked you out.
I get it. You were playing some Tropico 6 last night.
Yeah.
Are you a big fan of city builders? I don't think I've ever.
Yeah, I like being a dictator. Yeah.
How's Tropico 6? It's the 6th one, right? I feel like these games come out every year, and I'm like, that's a game that came out. Maybe I'll play this one, and then like Tropico 7.
Definitely pump them out.
Is it? Okay,
I'm trying to always improve the formula of it.
Yeah.
I get these are my bread and butter kind of stuff. I get so into this and like time passed and I didn't even know it passed. You know, building your city, but like I know it sounds kind of goofy. It's like the new innovative thing are bridges.
Yeah,
like now they have bridges,
so
they can have multiple islands now, and you have different islands set up for different purposes. So that's cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
You can also set up a pirate code.
Oh, okay. I see that.
Oh, that's why you play. Okay.
Like,
that's why you're into it.
Got it.
Set up a pirate code to go out and pirate stuff and like steal like the Statue of Liberty and bring it to Tropico. You know, it's cool now.
That's cool. Okay. This is the beta or is this full release?
I think this is a review copy.
Review copy. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. But apart from the bridges, is it a graphic improvement or is it just kind of like more Tropico?
It's definitely prettier, yeah, than the past ones. You know, but Tropico, it doesn't change the formula too much. You know what I mean? Like they if it's not broke, they're not trying to fix it, you know? So like a lot of the elements from like past Tropicos carry over into this, you know, and the aesthetics of it look pretty similar. From what I understand from this one, like their big focus on this one is the pirate stuff, the stealing of landmarks, enhancing the logistics of this game, so that you have to manage like making your products here on Tropico. I don't know. There's like another thing too that I'm drawing a blank on, but there was I don't know, just more logistics focused, I think, more than anything. Plus, with the classic Tropico of building it the way you want it to look, and setting the tourism and going through the eras,
Sure. Sounds like more Tropico.
Tutorial. I got through the entire tutorial last night before I had to get off. But
how long was the tutorial? A couple hours?
It's like an hour. Yeah.
Oh, not too bad. Okay.
An hour. Yeah. Like you just blow through, because if you don't care about it, you'll get through it real quick.
Yeah.
But you can actually change El Presidente's palace now. You couldn't do that before. So you can like customize it. And that's cool. I made mine all red and goofy looking over there.
Is this a full price game? Like,
I
I'll look it
don't
up.
think so.
I gotta
How
stop
much is
asking.
it, chat? 40, 44? Maybe this is the 44 game.
It's
The other one's 40.
$45, yeah, for Tropico
There you go.
6. It's on sale right now, 10% off, 44. It's usually $49.99. So, does this feel like, as someone who doesn't play the Tropico games, does it feel like I don't want to say DLC, but does it feel like an expansion every time a new iteration of the game comes out, like where it just builds on itself?
Yes.
Okay.
Like they definitely enhance it from previous ones. Like they have the same look to them, because like I said, they haven't tried to get too crazy with changing the game that already, people love already. So it's not innovative too crazy.
Right.
They just add more stuff to it and try to and make the experience better. But for Tropico fans, we just like it every time they add new cool shit to the game,
Sure.
like it's already a good experience as it is. But for people that look at it from the outside, they're like, well, why would I get this instead of 4 or 5?
Right.
In which case, that's fair. Get 5, it'll go on sale, I'm sure. You can start with 5,
All right.
and pick out 6 later if you want to. There's no harm in that.
Cool. Speaking of city builder games, chat's constantly jabbering off about it. Are you excited for Anno
No, I
1800?
know.
Are you pretty stoked for Anno? Yeah, okay.
Oh, frick yes.
That game is pretty good when
The
I
whole
played
relationship
beta.
together. We all 4 of us can play that game in multiplayer.
Yeah, who did we
the
have
same
on?
time.
I think we had Max on. He was talking about that because me and Co both played it single player and absolutely loved it. We didn't touch the multiplayer stuff though, but it sounds
Did they
like
have the multiplayer
multiplayer
stuff in the beta?
yeah, Burke and them were
Yeah.
playing
What?
it.
So, like,
Okay.
when you play, like, the whole game is set up like you're a company.
Right.
So you have your own island, and there's other islands, and you go in and take them over or whatever. And you're playing with 3 AI companies at the same time. So they're over there doing their own thing. Well, a player could take over and just be, instead of an AI, it'd be a player. So they'll have their own island and everything. And we ran it for, and I hope they fix this. We ran it for hours. Like, I don't know, how long did we play it, chat? Like, I kept Bike and Cream up and Cletus for like almost like 8 or 9 hours of streaming. This is well beyond what they're supposed to go, because they were so into it. And then I think we tried to save it or something like that, and then we tried to reload it, and then it broke. It destroyed the whole thing after we did that.
It was beta though, so
Wow.
that's probably why.
Yeah, we're hoping that was the case, but the game ran flawlessly up to that point. No lag, no weirdness, nothing. And I was like, you could go over to Max's island and see what he was doing.
Yeah,
Like, all the stuff that he was building, and he was like, driving, I can't, my people. We went to Cletus while he was having a riot on his hands. Cletus had a whole riot. His whole island was up in arms. And then we could try to find out, what did you do wrong? And he said, well, I raised the slider up to 250% to make them work more. I said, did you increase their pay? No. I'm like, you are a dictator. No
Yeah,
wonder they're
not
rioting
good.
against you, sir.
that's not good at all. That's not how you treat your people.
Police officers were just kind of watching the riot. It was like the whole island was on fire.
Yeah, that's not good at all. It's not good at all. Yeah, I'm super excited for that, and it's early April. It's like April 16th or 12th
Yeah,
or
April's
something
going to
like
be
that.
nuts for games.
Yeah,
Jeez.
April should be a good time. I'm stoked for it. I'm excited. I don't know how long we'll spend on this. Probably not too much, but you've been playing some GTA 5 RP and this kind of resurgence that's has been occurring on Twitch. Is this No Pixel? The server No Pixel? Or
I just got access to NoPixel.
okay, gotcha.
They just added me to it today, so I might try to hop on there.
yeah. So
But that Billy Bob Billy, my serial killer.
nice. Okay.
He's the nicest man. I play him as the nicest, most kindest person. And you want to help him. And then when he gets you alone in a dark alley, that's it. Lights
Very
out.
That's how it should be. That's how it should be. What to speak kind of outside of the game and more about like this resurgence on Twitch. What do you think is it credited to? Like why does this
Summit.
just suddenly blow up? Is it just a specific streamer streams it, gets excited, people see big viewership, and they start streaming it themselves? Is that kind of the thing?
Summit. Yeah, he started playing it. He blew up to 60K viewers, and like any Twitch streamers, it's
What's hot? Let's stream
time
it.
to, let's get into it. But for me, it was like me and Cleese were talking about, because we did a role play of Cooter the dog and him as the owner.
Okay.
And that was a riot. But no servers allow that. They don't allow you to play as a dog. But he got permission on Twitch RP to let me play as Cooter, even though it's like bans. Because they were like, okay, Burke's not going to do too crazy. We'll let him play as Cooter. And that made me come back. And the night that I was supposed to do that, Cletus got sick. So I was like, I'll just do Billy Bob just for goofing off. And then I started liking it again. So now I'm enjoying playing it with all my goofy characters that I did. Because this is the second time I've done Twitch RP or the GTA RP.
Yeah.
And I think what makes this so popular, it's just people like the stories and the crazy antics that unfold and this, what happens in the game. I think more people are playing 5M than they are regular GTA anymore. I think.
I would not be surprised. The funny thing, whenever RP blows up again on Twitch, because it's happened, I think this might be the second, possibly third time it's happened. I immediately go to Steam and look at the top sellers, and GTA 5 is always number 2 or number 3 whenever this happens.
It's always there. Yeah.
I mean, it's always there in the top 10 list, but it always spikes back up during the RP stuff, which is crazy to see.
It's a good game to you have nothing else to stream. You're like, well, I'll just do some GTA RP.
Yeah,
that is exactly what, because I mean, I think that absolutely there is something to be said about, right? Like trends on Twitch are a thing, right? Like, I mean, ride the waves. If this is popular, of course, broadcasters are going to pick it up. But from a creator's perspective, I hope no one misinterprets this, because I'm going to say that I think that GTA 5 is low effort content. And now when I say that, people might be like, well, what? People work hard to do good RP. And yes, that is true. But let's compare playing GTA 5 RP to playing Sekiro, right?
Sure.
Okay.
You're playing a game is literally designed to kind of tilt you. And that is that will drain you both physically and mentally. And I think that every once in a while, creators are always looking for what can I do that is literally just goofing around, having fun, is in a game. But 5 hours go by and I'm like, oh, felt like 20 minutes. And I really think that RP represents that. So to me, I almost imagine this is what virtual vacations must seem like. Creators literally be like, hey, I don't have to play battle royales for the next week and worry about, am I getting enough kills and wins and all. I can just kind of do whatever. There's no winning, there's no losing, there's no wrong or right way to play this. It is someone else said, it's like a telenovela that never ends. And I think that's I think you're underestimating the pressure of improvising for hours on end, DJ Wheat. I think you're underestimating the pressure of having to fucking play well for 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, and and stream it. So look, I love role playing. I know the efforts I've put into it personally on role play, and it is hard work, but it also for many is a break from some of the harder work that they might be doing. And I think that's kind of cool. So it's been enjoyable to watch for sure.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of
see lots of streamers that have been doing this for the last 2 years.
Oh yeah. See them blow
They're
up.
blowing up.
Yep.
Like Milton T. Pike, he's doing great. Classy Pax, he's coming to do some role play too. And he's a legend at this stuff. So
yeah. Vader's been blown up as well.
That take role play to the next level. They know that they're doing these amazing characters, and they plan out these storylines, and they stick to their characters so well. They have music for it. They have everything's set up for it to just make it so immersive. And that's the big thing, is immersion is such a big thing in gaming. You know, like when you're watching this, you get so sucked into the soap opera that's playing out before you that, I mean, I understand what DJ's saying too. Like it's easy content in the sense that you're just walking around and engaging in stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but the other side of that is the mental component of trying to make a character that actually works in the scenarios that you're doing, that's entertaining to watch instead of something boring that's just like mundane, like, oh, he's just playing just a gangster. You know, well, what's unique and make him interesting and fun to watch? And yeah, that's why people tune into this stuff. They just love to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I mean the characters are king. The characters are king of the content of this. Where I will confess I'm not the biggest fan of watching it, but I tuned into Tim's channel the other day, and I only know the characters. I don't know the people that play them. But Gladys was there, and Kiki was there, and for some reason, saying this sounds like the stupidest story ever, but it's funny to watch. Gladys was giving Tim's character back the Tech 9 that he was going to use to shoot Buddha, and for some reason, Kiki decided to sing the Mulan song within the apartment to Tim because she missed him or something like that, and ad-libbed all the lines. And it was one of the funniest fucking things because it's Kiki is like this weird cop about fashion or something like that. And watching them interact and them sing the song was like, it was like I journeyed into Reddit's WTF section or something like that. It's the only way I can explain it. It was great. It was good stuff. It's bizarre. And I think it's also good that whatever, I would think that most of the people that are watching this, with the giant streams, like 60, 50,000 plus viewers, a lot of those kids have only seen like Fortnite and BRs on Twitch. And now that they're seeing like this, makes me excited that they're actually seeing that there's other games out there. There's other style of games out there, which is really cool to see. So,
and this game does require some creativity and patience. Like may not be, top dog, for instance. You're not coming here to be like, I'm going to be Kingpin and just own all this and be unstoppable. It's not about that. It's not about winning.
Right.
It's about just enjoying and being immersed in the environment is what it's about. Not being the winner. There's no winner in it.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too that's fun is to see streamers that expect to be, the big shit going into this, and then no one wants to interact with them because they're so forcing that on everyone else, and it just doesn't play well for both an entertainment aspect and also with other streamers. So they just kind of say like, fuck off. Like we don't want to interact with you. And it's been interesting to see that stuff.
Kit Boga's been probably one of my favorite sort of new streamers to get into it because he's literally taken the characters that he's developed on his own channel and brought them into this world. And like, I think Edna is one of the greatest character that a streamer has come up with in years. And to see him just basically take that aspect of his stream and put it right into roleplay is kind of freaking fascinating. It's pretty great.
Yeah,
so.
For sure.
I'm ecstatic. There's a lot of people doing this who've never done it before. Like it's funny to see some people struggle because they're not, they're not used to not being the center of attention and the star, and where it's supposed to be about the other thing. But some people really shine. Like they've completely embraced it, and you could tell that their channel's doing really well because of that. People could tell that they're legitly having fun with it instead of simply trying to ride the wave.
Right. Yeah, it's good to see that for sure. I think it's only a good thing on Twitch. I'm always, whenever this stuff flares up, I'm so interested to see what is happening within the Rockstar office. If they're like, all right, we gotta focus on this in the next game. Like we need to make this a thing. Like this has to be a major point.
They should.
Or if they're just like, fuck it, let's go sell some more DLC stuff and actually make some money. If they even care about this.
Where they were debating like banning that, like they didn't like the idea of 5M modding their game.
I remember that.
They were going to ban that, but then they changed their mind.
Yeah.
Which would have been stupid to ban it because it was 5M was selling more copies than they were at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I would just love to be a fly on the wall in that office to see like what they think about, because as far as I know, they've never officially commented on
No, they haven't.
the RP
They've been
world
pretty
of
quiet.
their game. And you look at Twitch, and it's been in like the top 5, if not the top 2 streamed games on the platform in terms of viewers the past like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Even when it wasn't popular again, when you would find it on there.
Yeah.
Usually the number 1, 2, 3 stream up there was a roleplay stream.
Yep.
And then like you find like the guy down in the bottom who's actually doing GTA Online.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of funny how this has just kept it relevant.
Yeah. I'm so curious to see what happens with GTA 6 if that ever is I'm sure it's a thing, but whenever they get around to making that a thing, if they somehow include like custom server support or something like that, I think that
They
would be
should do
huge.
that, yeah.
Yeah. Not necessarily like we're going to make an RP server, because you don't want fucking Bob and Sally trying to RP. They're still working with the Stadia shit, so they can't get this working. But you want to be able to support like custom initiatives and custom servers and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't believe it would happen. Rockstar's not that type of company, but it would be nice to see it occur if it ever does.
And if you're looking for a server, you don't know where to start, you're just getting the 5M, getting their RP, I would try Revolution, because they don't have the massive queues that the other ones do, but they're very warm and welcome over there at Revolution. I'd try them.
Cool.
You need a starting place.
I want to talk to you, Burke, because as far as I know, you're one of the only streamers that I've seen attempt this fully. And I've been messing with it a lot this past week, because I ended up going wireless with my VR, which I think is, my eyes have been opened to, it's as big as a shift for me just actually playing VR on these new headsets. To go wireless,
Yeah.
it's like the next step
Right.
forward.
Wireless
right?
is the way to go, yeah.
It's the way to go, without a doubt. But you have played some Skyrim VR, so I'm curious, just like from a streaming aspect of it. This is the PlayStation version. Was
That's
it
PlayStation, yeah.
nice? Is this actually like fun to watch for your? Do your viewers enjoy watching this, or was it kind of like
Great
lackluster?
viewership when I was streaming this. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
They get into it. As long as, like, you know, I think you got to get into it. You got to be completely immersed, you know,
Right.
like
Right.
enjoy the character element of it. But it's the capture for this wasn't the best, because PlayStation VR is kind of weird, and
Yeah.
it's not as
Yeah.
clear as the Vive Pro.
Mhm.
The better the resolution on your headset, the better the experience is going to be for your eyes and your sense of motion, and obviously chat too.
Right.
But I downloaded Skyrim VR for
PC.
Steam,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna mod it. Like, you can
So-
mod the heck out of it.
I've
Yeah.
spent about 4 hours every night since Friday modding it. I'm at like 170 mods right now in the game. It's running.
Wow, okay.
107?
Yeah. No, 100. Yeah.
70.
No,
70?
170. 70. Yeah. Sorry.
170 mods.
But some of these mods are just kind of like, we need to make sure that when you're looking at water from the swamp and water from the lake, that when those two waters meet, it's not a hard line so that they merge the colors.
Got it.
It's like
got
that
it,
type of
okay.
bullshit. Because I'm just
Quality
like,
of life.
let me just go ahead and grab that. Yeah, we'll just make sure. Okay, yeah, that loaded. It's that type of shit. I will send you a Reddit. You might have already found it, Burke, but there's a guide on Skyrim VR's subreddit that has
Please
like
do.
the order, because it's all about order of installing mods.
Yeah, the
and it's
order.
all about load order of those mods loading. But like as each one I would put in, and I'd boot up the game and kind of look around. Okay, looks pretty good. I'd close it out and like put in some new water. Yeah, it looks like water. All right, let me take the headset off and we'll do the next one. Like, it's been that for like 20 or 30 hours of modding.
Damn.
And so I finally got it like set up with pretty much everything that I wanted last night. And I tweeted about this, so if you know that, you know what I'm about to say. But I walked over in a town, and I have these like beautiful character models that look fucking like super high res, 4K res. They look great. Walked over and I fucking like went like this, because it's kind of cheap in VR with the weapons. They attack really fast. I'm going to probably play Magic when I play. But went over and killed them. I looted all of it. And when I did that, I didn't realize that the character models that I put in have a nude function to them. And it was just a fully fucking nude Nord guy laying there on his back, just splayed out. And it's fully featured, Burke, so be careful.
With the tallywhacker, right?
Yeah, be very careful because I was just like,
The Skyrim or Conan?
yeah,
What is it?
yeah, it was a thing. So be careful when you do that because if I was streaming, I wouldn't have known that, and it would have just it wouldn't have been good. So I think that there's a not nude version
they like
of it.
their nudes in Skyrim.
Yeah, it is like
that.
it is kind of ridiculous how much modeling, because like I'm not just gonna run away. Okay, I had to inspect this shit. I got like on the ground floor, kind of looking at this thing. They have spent some time making sure that everything looks appropriate for both men and women. So
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy.
There's the realistic, and it's funny that we're still talking about Skyrim after all this time. That
Right,
says a lot about the
10
game.
years
but
or 11 years old or whatever the fuck. Yeah,
it really is. Like I did it almost a full playthrough. I think of Fallout VR when it came into Steam,
yeah.
and besides that, these Fallout and this are really the only two. Like I think they're starting to come out with more now, but full-fledged games that you could play in realistic VR. You know,
Right. And that's the reason why I want to play it, because I was literally looking around once I got this wireless thing set up, and like I played Beat Saber, and that functions amazingly well with a wireless thing to it, or a wireless headset to it. But I was like, I want to play like an actual fucking game. Like I want to play a real full-fledged game, not like these demo bullshit. And I was like, I could play Fallout 4, but I really am not a fan of the Fallout universe. And I was like, well, Skyrim is a thing. Maybe I could like check that out. And even
Magic's really the way to go with that.
it is, yeah. And I didn't know that until
really
Max
feel
told me
the
to play
power.
Magic. He's like, yeah. I was like, yeah. I was walking around with some swords. It felt pretty cool. He's like, you didn't do the magic? I was like, no.
Now, there is a guy that's working on a mod, and I don't chat will find it long before I ever remember it, but he's working on a realistic melee mod for Skyrim.
It might already be
Meaning,
out
like,
there.
Yeah,
I saw a couple mentions of that.
where they want him. They're trying to have it set up that when you swing the sword, the AI will like realistically put their shield up to block that sword and then try to attack you back. You know.
Yeah.
So they're working on that.
They've gotten pretty close to
there's
doing
the-
something similar with that. There's a lot of mods, and that's can't be like you could mod fucking everything.
Yeah, and you can
in
put
that
all the
game.
DLC into it too. Even though they don't
Yeah.
offer it for Skyrim VR, you can get the DLC and put it in there.
Yeah.
The mod. So
Yeah,
it's all available.
it's pretty cool. I definitely
4K textures, everything. Man, it looks gorgeous too. Like and there's a setting. If you have the computer to do it, there's a setting that chat taught me with your Vive that you can up
the super
the
sampling.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
make
I
it
did
look
all that.
stupid pretty.
Yeah, I mean, I booted up everything. It's running 4K with like fucking all the mountain mods, all the terrain mods, all the water
Pretty was it when you
mods.
were actually in there when you're looking at it? I haven't tested that yet.
It's kind of crazy. It's one of those experiences where you're just kind of like,
Holy
"Fuck
shit.
me," like holy shit, what the?
Man, when I was on the PlayStation, it felt like I was like, man, this is gorgeous. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like on Steam fully modded.
It's a completely different game.
Yeah, there's just talking more about VR, but there's a game called Blade and Sorcery. I showed the chat.
I've seen that on
Really-
Steam. Yeah,
Did you see that? Like he grabs, like you can actually grab the person you're fighting and like take the dagger and be like,
So
you know?
cool. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
showed it, like,
So cool.
I instantly bought it when I saw him grab the dude and smack his head on the table just repeatedly, and I was like, "That's that." I just bought that. I
Yeah.
just purchased that. It's
Yeah,
mine.
I have not played too much of it, I've not played it at all. I've seen the videos, so it looks pretty cool. But yeah, I think I might do like a Skyrim VR modded playthrough. If the other thing is
I'd like to see
capturing
that
it's really
combat in
weird.
Skyrim, that'd be great.
Yeah, that capturing it is kind of weird because for whatever reason, Skyrim VR loads in like kind of like some Vive games do. It loads in like one of those weird little panels, like it loads one eye.
Yeah.
And there's a way to actually force that to load full screen. And for whatever reason, when you
it's
load
an
that,
OBS extension.
well, there's that, but there's also if you just go into the INI, you can load it full screen within Skyrim itself. And when you do that, the game actually runs better for whatever reason in the VR headset. And so the other thing is the OBS thing, the OBS plugin. So I guess I'm going to probably use the OBS plugin. I only have one monitor on the gaming PC, but I'm going to use the OBS plugin to full screen it on that monitor as a projector, then capture that monitor from the streaming PC.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fucking nuts. And then I got to figure out how I'm going to get chat on there through that. Like, that's the other thing is streaming VR.
There's an app that I use for that. It's not updated anymore, but it still works.
Is that Gunruns?
Like,
is that the one? Gunrun has like Gunrun Chat VR or something like that. Is that
No,
what you're saying?
I used a different one. I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to tell you after stream.
Okay.
But it attaches to your controller, like underneath. So when you flip the controller around, you'll see Twitch chat.
Oh.
All the emotes and everything tells you like who subbed or donations or follows and all that stuff.
See, I've seen that on streams,
like,
but it's hard to
hey.
find. Yeah, let me know the name of that because that sounds. The one that I was going to use is like Gunrun had like this weird. You buy it on Steam. It's like $14.99, and it connects through like the IRC channels or whatever that Twitch uses and all this nonsense. And yeah, it seems very involved. Whereas if I could just flip my controller and it works, unless it's the same one. Is it OSVR or OSR?
The guy that made the one that I'm talking about made that.
Oh.
It has less features than the one that I don't know. It's weird. I could be wrong about that, but I remember like chat telling me that the guy made something that you could actually buy.
Okay. I think that's OVR Drop is the name of the one.
OVR Drop, yeah.
Yeah. So
maybe it's better now. I remember complaining to him when I bought it. I was like, dude, like your free thing that you made is better than the thing you're charging people for. So I don't mind buying it, but it should work like your other one.
Yeah. Yeah. So I might be doing a full Skyrim VR playthrough. It's pretty crazy.
look forward to
those
that.
mods
You're gonna get the like if you get into it, like there's some people that get really into the VR, right?
Yeah.
You can get like those little sensors that you put on like your wrist and your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can actually like move around with your arms and everything. I want to get a full bodysuit for that.
There's an app that you can buy on Steam that I'm forgetting the name of, but it works for Skyrim and other VR games. That's basically supposed to simulate movement. Because right now I'm using the teleport type movement in VR where you can just like teleport in front of you. It's kind of lame, to be honest. You can just
it is very bad.
Locomotion
is the way to go.
Yeah. But with this movement thing, to like move forward, you do this with the controllers. And it's supposed to be really good. Because
versus just like literally pointing and clicking to where you want to go.
Natural locomotion. Yeah, that's the name of it. It's supposed to be pretty good.
That's really smart. Yeah. Because I hate the
teleport's cool. I don't get sick from it. And the other thing is I've never had VR games mess with me. When I turned on the normal, I don't have one of the things here, but the normal movement in Skyrim is you just like push down on the haptic pad and move forward with your thumb. And then your character moves like a fucking car. The first second I did that, immediately dropped my legs. Like I was just out. I was just on the ground. I was like, oh my God, that does not feel good whatsoever. It felt so bad. It felt so fucking bad.
That is too funny.
Yeah. It felt
Team Freak needs to be dealt with, by the way, in your chat.
Yeah, I'll deal with it. It was terrible. That's the first time I've ever like dropped my fucking knees in a game because of how fucking I just was immediately going to throw up. It was bad.
That's funny.
So I want to try that natural locomotion thing because the teleport stuff is just lame.
I think that would actually help people who do get motion sickness because I was telling a week before that I used to get motion sickness like doing locomotion where like you're moving forward like you're in the game, but your body is not moving, right? So your brain's like, what the shit is this bullshit that's going on?
Yeah.
So you get that motion sickness, but I combated that by moving like I'm doing this, like when we were moving. And it just kind of took it away from me. And now I don't have to do it anymore. But I could see how, like, I'm going to walk this way, like in a game with natural locomotion. That would help you curb that pretty easily.
Yeah. So I'm going to try that tonight. It's been my nightly thing to do a little VR modding. So
that's awesome.
You do it on stream?
No. I've done it all off stream because I don't want to sit here.
You mod some of that stuff,
dude. It's been a fucking painstaking process. Like I've installed mods to a point, and then they just break, and it's like, all right, we're starting over. We're just gonna take everything. We're just gonna delete everything. We're just gonna start over from scratch. And so then I start.
You're doing the normal thing, which is like, okay, you're like, I'm ready to do a modded Skyrim. So you download Skyrim. You spend 7 to 8 hours getting all the mods, and then when you launch Skyrim, you play it for an hour, and you're like, oh, well, I'm gonna play something different now.
Well, no, I mod Skyrim, and I'm like, man, that mountain looks kind of All right, let me take this. Let's mountain mod. Oh shit, that one's called Real Mountains. It looks pretty, and it blends with. Okay, let's install that real quick. Let me. I just
I think more people have fun modding Skyrim than they do actually playing the damn thing.
Yeah, and I'm like, I run over to mountain. I'm like, need some fog up there. Let me see if there's some fog mods over.
Oh god.
And so I found a thing. It's called Misty Mountains Mod, and it like makes these fucking giant mountains that look pristine that have fog and hide the load in when you're like moving forward. So it doesn't have any pop in. It just has fog that kind of like slowly fades away, and it shows you the rest of the mountain.
Oh god!
Actually,
I'm gonna
And
get
so
all
you're
this
just
stuff.
kind of like, oh my god, that looks fucking cool. And then there's a thing called immersion creatures. And so you know how Skyrim only has like a certain amount of mobs in it. Someone went in and like added like 100 new monsters that are all unique looking. And so I like walked in and I saw a skeleton, but this skeleton was on fire. And then there was like a purple skeleton over there, and I just left the fucking room because like this is too much for me right now. I don't have anything to do with these guys.
You seen your first dragon yet?
Well, in the beginning, yeah, I saw the beginning or the dragon that happened at the very beginning, but not on the open yet.
Well, when you see it out in the open, to scare the shit out of you, what it'll do,
Dude,
'Cause it's an experience when you're doing it in VR.
the first room that you enter in the cave in the beginning of the game with the spiders. I downloaded the mod where it turns all spiders into bears. So there's no spiders in my game. They're all bears.
You know, Satisfactory does something similar. Like there was I guess one of the devs had arachnophobia, so when you turn that on, it turns all spiders into these kitty cats instead.
Yeah.
Kitty
So I just
cat
have a
meme
bunch of
pictures.
little bears running at me. And they spit acid. It's fine with me.
Acid spitting.
That's too
Dude,
funny.
with the 4K mods, those spiders, like, oh, they were like light. They were, not only were they lifelike, but they were life size in VR. So it just looked like this, 12-foot spider is running at me. And I'm like, fuck this. Like, I don't have any spells right now. I'm not going to use my bow. I'm just going to take my headset off and find that mod. So
Now, you like horror games at all?
not in VR. I'm not going to do the Resident Evil 7 stuff.
Like I keep trying to explain to chat. Like, yes, I know some of you are hard. You've played the horror games,
Yeah.
but until you've played that shit in VR,
Yeah.
you don't know nothing. Horror games in VR literally just suck the life right out of you. Such fear effects in VR. It's like 100 times worse.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Co and Zeke both played RE7 VR, so we actually have a
There's
bet.
a clip of me.
Oh yeah.
You know, I was playing a horror game. It's one of my more viewed clips. I'm so freaked out because there's like this little girl. She's my daughter. I'm supposed to take care of her or something like that. And the house is so haunted with some crazy shit. I'm so freaked out that I'm walking around in the house, and then I turn around, I go around this corner, and the little girl was there, and it scared me. And my reaction to that was like, well, "Get your ass out of here, you little shithead!" You know.
Yeah.
And she runs away right when I say that, so it looks like I'm
Nice.
actually reacting to her.
Yeah. The horror game stuff.
Crazy
I'm good.
games, man.
I'm good. I would.
Do you imagine Resident Evil 2 as a VR experience?
It wouldn't be. 7 would be scarier. I think. Still, I didn't think Resident Evil 2.
7
Like
was-
I hate horror games, but I got through 2 fine. It wasn't that terrifying for me. I thought
We've been
7
waiting
was
for
awful.
7 to come to Steam in VR for a long time now. Like they said they had a year exclusive for PlayStation, but maybe Capcom's like, maybe it's not worth it to bring it to VR and Steam. But I'm like, it totally is.
Oh, I didn't know it wasn't on PC VR yet.
No, not on
it was,
VR.
no.
So you have to, PlayStation VR is good to use, but like as an entry level to VR. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it's okay for that. Because once you do Vive, especially Vive Pro, you can't go back to PlayStation VR.
I still say though, like this shit, this fucking Vive Pro right here, that's $1,200. Don't get any.
It is expensive.
Buy
It's
a
an
PSVR.
investment to do
Get a
it.
This is not worth $1,200.
No, it's expensive as hell. But
Yeah.
I will say though that wireless thing, because a lot of people ask me constantly if that wireless thing is any good, and it is. It's flawless.
It's
It
phenomenal.
works
Yeah.
perfect.
I ended up buying 4 extra battery packs. That's how serious I am about the wireless VR shit, because I wanted to be able to keep going. So, yep.
10-hour battery pack.
Yeah, I bought 3 more of these. So I have 4. They're supposed to last like 6 or 7 hours. So, yeah, it's a lot.
You're set.
You think it's a gimmick until you do it, though. You know, like
Yeah, it's
the
a
reason
gimmick, but it's
JP's
good
doing all this
gimmick.
stuff, it's so cool when you have it on and you're actually in the game and playing it. It is so cool.
It is. Yeah, it really is. Burke, the last thing I'll say about Resident Evil 7, if a mirror drops in Path of Exile, I play Resident Evil 7. That's the bet with my chat. And a mirror in Path of Exile, they're averaged to be seen every 20,000 hours per player. So that's how rare they are in the game.
Mirror, I'd love
Wait,
to
in
see that.
VR, you're gonna play it
Yeah.
if you get the mirror drop.
Yep. That's the bet.
Nice. I cannot
VR?
wait.
Yeah. So I have to play Resident Evil 7 in VR if a mirror drops.
Oh shit,
That's a
dude! I
good
wouldn't
job,
like
Chad.
that in VR.
But it's never going to drop. So
That's some heart attack inducing gameplay right there, man. With VR and Resident Evil 7.
yeah. That's why I've cut back on PoE hours. But it's only streamed hours. If it drops off stream, I get to keep that shit. So I'll just keep playing off stream. It's fine. Anyways, let's do some shout outs. I know we're probably eating into some meeting time for Wheat, so we'll get him out of
We're
here.
getting there. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll let Wheat start off with some shout outs. Thanks again to both of you actually for filling in this week with Ko and Zeke on. I think Zeke's back next week. Ko's going to keep taking some time with the kid. So we'll keep doing shows and fill the void without him. But for now, Wheat, do some shout outs for us.
First off, thank you again, not only to JP for the invite, but the the entire Drop Frames audience. You've been awesome today. It's good to see many of you who I've seen over the years here on the channel. You can find me on Twitter at /DJ Wheat and on Twitch at /DJ Wheat. And I mentioned I've been finding myself with a little bit more time lately, which is kind of nice. And as a result, I've been streaming again, and hope that trend will continue, hopefully into 2019. So again, thank you so much. Hope that I can come back and do it again sometime. And it's been a blast.
Cool. Burke, thanks for staying up past your bedtime for us. I appreciate that. Thanks for being on the show. You want to do some shout outs for us?
I'm Burke Black. Probably we're going to be doing Outward. That's the new one, right? Outward.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it's Outward.
Yeah, with Cletus. Me and Cletus. It's a 2-player co-op adventure game, probably more Tropico. And we're eagerly waiting Sea of Thieves to do its content drop, and Atlas to finish its wipe to go back to some more piracy. High seas out there. So yeah, you can see my stuff. You can do all that there, and yeah, that's it.
Cool. All right. By the way, if that Skyrim mod comes out that has multiplayer in it, Burke,
Yeah, we would play together.
yeah, and it works in VR, we're gonna do some adventuring.
We should do that. I'm trying to get the boys to do it
boy.
too. I don't know.
Yeah,
They're kinda
Max was
grudgingly
texting
wanting
me
to do
about it. Max is pretty into it as well, so we'll see if it actually comes
That'd be
out.
fun. That'd be
Yeah.
super fun.
Be a good time. All right, that's it for Dropped Frames. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back next week. Zeke will be back, like I said, and we'll figure out the rest of the guests then. So we'll let you guys know. Have a good one. We're out for now. Bye-bye.